The Wonderful World of Dark Lords. Attached notes. May the 4th.
Welcome to Wonderful World of Dark Lords. I'm Tom.
I'm Rachel.
And we're discussing how to convert Disney movies to Ravenloft domains of dread. And thanks to Bob Iger's avaricious, amoeba-like absorption of media franchises, that gives us so many options.
Long, long ago in a demiplane far, far away.
Happy May the 4th. Happy Star Wars Day to all who celebrate, which, by the way, it definitely includes me.
It sure does, yes.
And the fact that we are posting this on this date might be a clue as to what is coming up. As if you haven't already listened to the end of our K-pop Demon Hunters episodes, then we want to use this opportunity to give you a little schedule of what's coming up. This is something new for us. We've never done before. In the past, we've had May as Marvel May, the other live-action, absorbed into Disney under the Iger reign to be reductive boys franchise of that era.
And we're planning to go back to Marvel May next year. This
Indeed.
Isn't like the end of Marvel May. We just had a lot we wanted to do with Star Wars.
And in the past years, we've done our summer series. So we had our summer blockbuster, we did live action movies, our small screen summer. But there's so much we want to do and say about Star Wars that we're doing an unprecedented 4-part, 4-month mini-series. So May 13th, we'll be kicking off Star Wars season. We'll be covering our May, June, July, and August episodes. So if you like Star Wars, you're in for a treat. And if you really hate Star Wars, I will see you in September.
You and Han Solo and your Tauntaun. We'll see them in hell.
Yes. But we want to use this not only as an announcement, but also as a kind of reference episode where we can kind of lay out some of our concepts so we're not reiterating them every episode.
Yes, because we're going to do multiple Star Wars domains, but they're all going to be related.
Yes.
We've talked in previous episodes about this idea of islands and clusters where there were a couple of domains that were all connected, and that's what we're doing here, sort of.
Yeah, we'll explain more in a second.
Yeah, but all of these Star Wars domains are going to have some things in common, and this way in future episodes we'll be able to just really briefly run through a thing and be like, go back and refer to our May the 4th episode if you want more details.
For a particular tabletop nerd generational milestone, there was the New World of Darkness, where they made a core book called World of Darkness, which had all of the basic rules of the system, like basic combat rules, initiative, basic rules, basic equipment. And then the individual games like Vampire or Werewolf or Changeling or Mage.
Changeling, my love.
Would have a lot more page space where they could just be about that setting.
Yeah.
It wasn't that every core book needed to have the rules for combat or the stats for basic guns. It was something that could just be in the core book. Similarly, this is where we're going to lay out a lot of our basic setting assumptions so then when the actual episodes for the actual domains, we can just jump right in and go from there. But before that, we have a little bit of a disclaimer. Now, some of you, fingers poised as soon as we said what we were said, to tell us, possibly with great woe and distress and anxiety, that why are we doing this in like a Dungeons & Dragons 5e Ravenloft? And yes, I see you.
That's a fair question. That's a fair question.
Star Wars is probably the most tabletop RPG'd franchise that there is.
Yes.
If not, hit us in socials if there's one that has had more iterations than Star Wars. And I think I have played at least a one-shot in all of the systems.
I love you, nerd.
I know. I got the Anniversary West End Games books, and I played the sort of starter adventure in there a couple years ago. I played in college, we were both in a campaign in the original D20 system.
Multiple campaigns in the original D20 system.
I own the entire run of Star Wars Saga Edition and have run multiple campaigns in that system. And I've played a couple of one-shots in the crazy funky dice, super bizarrely crunchy yet also narrative Fantasy Flight Games Edition.
Is that the one that you ran for us where Halite survived Order 66? Or which one?
No, that was Saga.
Okay, cool.
That one didn't have funky dice. These are really funky dice. They're not even funky like shape. They're just like weird symbols.
Okay.
They don't even have numbers on them. It's just weird symbols.
Oh, is that what they do for Imperial Assault?
Kind of, but more. Also, I own all of Imperial Assault. So, yes, you are spoiling for choice for running a specific to Star Wars system. And yet we are talking about taking Star Wars and adapting it for Ravenloft, the specific 5e Dungeons & Dragons set.
Which is a bit of a round peg in a square hole,
Sure,
like
absolutely.
several other domains we've found.
So why are we doing this? Well, first off, that's the premise of our podcast, is turning these into Ravenloft domains, and this is my chance to talk about Star Wars.
Yes.
Which is something anyone who knows me can attest I really, really enjoy doing.
I put my finger on it the other day when we were thinking about, thinking about that. Like, Star Wars is to Tom as Halloween is to me, and vice versa.
Yes.
Like, I like Star Wars a lot.
Yeah, more than the average person.
More than the average. I would go so far as to say I love Star Wars.
Uh-huh.
It is not a lifestyle.
Yes.
And likewise, you love Halloween.
Yeah, I love Halloween. I love Halloween. But it's not a lifestyle choice.
Yes.
You saw that thing that was like, Halloween is a lifestyle that the calendar occasionally corresponds with. And for me, it's like Star Wars is a lifestyle that the media release franchise calendar occasionally corresponds with. So yeah, cards on the table, more than anything. I love Star Wars. I love talking about Star Wars. I love thinking about Star Wars. This is my chance to do that in the context of our podcast.
Yes.
So yeah, there you go.
This is a chance to talk about Star Wars semi-professionally.
I do have other reasons. Second, the setting absolutely doesn't fit Ravenloft, but holy potatoes, Darth Vader does.
Yes.
Like, just Darth Vader as a Dark Lord, he is, to use a term I'm finding very helpful for determining if someone's a good Dark Lord, a Byronic garbage fire.
He is
and
absolutely
he is
a Byronic
garbage fire.
Oh my gosh.
He makes such a good Dark Lord, and there's a number of other Star Wars villains that we also think can really be interesting to look at from the perspective of a Dark Lord.
And there are plenty of you out there who agree with us because people have been asking us about Star Wars. So we know that this isn't just us.
Right, yeah. So this is a chance to really focus on the villains and to kind of look at them in that very interesting lens of look at them as Ravenloft Dark Lords and think about them as Ravenloft Dark Lords. And I think that is actually something worth doing. Not just like this is a chance to indulge my Star Wars nerddom. This is something that's actually a really interesting lens to look at some iterations of the franchise through. And then finally, if you just want to do Star Wars as a side quest in your wider D&D Ravenloft campaign.
Yes.
Like if you're like, I'd love to just have like a mini arc in Star Wars with lots of Star Wars references and everyone can quote Han Solo like they do anyway, but now we've more justified. This is great. You know, this is the thing. You don't have to say we are just running a Star Wars campaign. You can be running a D&D campaign. You can be running a Ravenloft campaign. And you can do a Star Wars side quest. And that is also, I think, worth exploring.
And also the flip side of that, if you're coming at this more from the Star Wars side of things, and you want to bring some horror into your Star Wars game, then this will help you to do that. And Tom is going to be great for helping you with that because he loves running Star Wars, but also everything he runs turns into horror eventually.
Yes, it does, including Star Wars.
Including Star Wars.
Now, as we present this, already this disclaimer and the fact that we're doing this like mini-series, not just of thematically or media-linked things like a small screen summer or a summer blockbuster, but we're actually kind of doing an overall setting over the course of these 4 episodes, it's already telling you there's some difference to our format. And some other differences when we have the land section, we're going to kind of take what we did from the TV shows they just mentioned. We are going to have some locations, but our biggest emphasis is going to be also on like factions and NPCs as under that kind of umbrella of noteworthy features. Whereas in sort of the classic Van Richten's write-up, and in our movie ones, almost always location-based.
Yeah, and we are still going to do locations. Like, we know you want to hear about Mos Eisley Cantina.
Right, or
like,
Coruscant,
or Mustafar, but...
And the other thing is we always have this part where we talk about what kind of game to run, one-shot or a campaign, and it's always a campaign. We're not going to have that part in these upcoming 4 episodes because the answer is it's always a campaign.
Yeah. If you listen to Small Screen Summer, then you have an idea of... We might also do the quotes differently, unclear, because boy howdy when we get to Darth Vader. Like...
Yeah, right. Curtain Patrol, yeah.
Yeah. So we might either present the quotes as a fait accompli or always do the thing where we each pick a quote. Yeah, unclear. Haven't discussed this. I'm springing this live on Tom, but I just realized that.
Jump scare. Speaking of that setting, now we've talked about how we know it's going to be really tricky to adapt this Star Wars as a setting into this kind of D&D 5e, me loving Star Wars, I want to make it maximum Star Wars. So my first initial, it's going to be Spelljammer setting. And probably a lot of you thought the same thing. But then Rachel's like, oh, is that where we're doing? Okay. Yeah. I get that that's like a bridge it's too, un-Ravenlofty. It's, especially for talking about running this as a side quest, it's too, you're going to Barovia, and then you go to Darkon, and then you go on a spaceship.
And, if you want to do that, by all means, do that, have fun. And, especially if you're doing our Raven Nebula thing that we talked about back with Treasure Planet, then Star Wars fits right in.
Yeah.
But it's going to be kind of weird to have that as our default. By the way, listeners, we hashed this out, on a lunch date eating delicious bratwurst. So just as we're discussing this, I want you to imagine us with a plate of the best bratwurst you've ever eaten in front of us.
So what we settled on is much like when we adapted our default for Treasure Planet. Our default is not the Raven Nebula. Our default's not Spelljammer. Our default is an archipelago. It was archipelago of islands. But unlike Treasure Planet, we're specifically for our default saying it's a kind of steampunk, Magitech, Eberron tech level.
Yeah, because
this was a key break.
Yeah, because my thought was, we'll do sailing ships. That's it. If you can do a lot of the stuff that you can do with space, you can do nautically. And then it was Tom started to go
we could not. But then how do you do X-wings?
How do you
Are
do
they
X-wings?
windsurfers?
I think it was me that came up with the idea of X-wings almost being like steam jacks in Iron Kingdoms.
Yeah.
And that was when you were like, oh, they could be like little submarines.
Little like corkscrewy one-man, submarines going around. And it's like, oh, that works.
Yeah, so we're 20,000 leagues under the sea. Exactly. We're the Nautilus, where you were Atlantis.
Yeah, Atlantis, exactly. Like the little subs of Atlantis, right? It's perfect for X-wings. And for me, this is what made me really get on board with the islands and ships, because I realized until we were talking about it, part of my hesitance in that is Star Wars is such a gearhead setting.
Yes.
Star Wars is such a running around with your toolbox and connecting wires and throwing switches and power cores, and it's so much grounded in sort of the idea of engineering and mechanics and plugging things in and unplugging things. And
as someone who almost always plays a tech specialist can confirm.
Star Wars, even if we're making it islands and ships, it needs to be ships that have artificers.
Yes.
This needs to be a setting where artificers are a huge part of it. So our default assumption going forward in all of our future episodes is going to be large archipelago of islands with basically Eberron technology level and culture level. If you want to dial it down, if you're that's still a weird transition to me to go from Barovia to Darkon to Eberron, basically, sailing ships, help yourself.
Yes,
very little of what we're saying here is going to be affected by switching it to sailing ships, other than it's a lot harder to have X-Wings. They rowboat really hard. Or, and this is probably what I would do, you could dial it up to airships. Because once again, Eberron, that steampunk level, it could very easily be everyone's using airships. And then you're you've got Zeppelins, and you've got Ornithopters to be the X-Wings, and you've got everything you need.
Does this mean that we finally get the Star Wars Tailspin crossover we all deserve? Oh my gosh.
I have a whole thing about how Tailspin is a great inspiration for a, Han Solo inspired Fringer merchant Firefly type Star Wars game.
I need Don Carnage as a Star Wars villain, and I need it now.
Honestly, yeah, Tailspin's kind of what I'm going for here. With
I love you so much.
With that's the vibe, that's the setting. You've got these islands, you've got planes, you've got big planes, little planes. There you go. Make them a slightly less plane, more Zeppelin and airship to make them a little more Eberron-y, but yes.
And then, I think from my Dragonlance folks, the Death Star is a flying citadel.
Right. So that's kind of, once we're part of the reason we want to have this episode is to establish this, so we don't need to establish this in every episode.
Yeah.
In every episode going forward, we are just going to jump in with that assumption.
Yeah, we're just going to be all right, we're doing steampunk. If you want to know what that means, go to Me the Force.
Exactly. And speaking of a big thing, we talked a whole bunch about Darth Vader as a Dark Lord and how that really drew us to this more than anything else. And some of you might have raised your finger in the air, prepared to type, and wanted to say something about how Palpatine should be the true Dark Lord not Vader. And there's a good argument for that.
Absolutely.
And we'll get to that in future episodes. We're going to talk way more about this.
Yes.
But this was another thing where I was hesitant for a while because we've had a couple of times, actually kind of the same with Cruella de Vil, where it's like, yeah, but there's no torment there, really.
Yeah.
Like, Cruella's just living her best life.
It's like, number one, there's no torment. And number two, like, Palpatine is just so much a part of the torment of the other Dark Lords we have planned. Like, the only one we're going to spoil that we're doing here is Darth Vader, because he's the obvious one.
Right, yeah.
But, like, pretty much all of the evil in the, like, Clone Wars Onward Star Wars universe. That's a lot of WARs. Goes back to Palpatine.
Yes.
And so, like, if he's stuck in his own domain, how is he going to be messing with Vader?
Exactly. If we're having all of these domains as some kind of unified setting, then he needs to be somehow connected to all of those domains.
Yeah.
And so this is, I remember we were on vacation, we were talking about this, because the kind of people we are. And
we were at the beach. I remember we were at the beach. Yeah.
And the thing...
we were such nerds, guys. Scene change, bratwurst to beach.
Yes. And the thing that I was like, no, he really needs to be this kind of, like, non-Dark Lord, but, like, corruptor, tempter, and something that, like, causes other people to have acts of ultimate darkness and become Dark Lords. But this character that can kind of move through the whole setting. And the thing that clicked into my head for you Ravenloft grognards out there, and this is, I knew Rachel would be really into this, was like, he needs to be like the Gentleman Caller.
Yes.
Or Slash the Caller. Like, that's the kind of role he needs to play in this setting. So what we have is, no, Palpatine is not a Dark Lord. Asterisk, we'll come back to that.
We're going to kind of be culminating, like, as the series progresses, we're going to be building on how you can have Palpatine as the Dark Lord, but we're not there yet.
For our default kind of canon setting, he is an archdevil. He is an agent of the dark powers who is there to sort of to tempt and corrupt these other people into Dark Lord. So we're going to have these 4 domains, 4 Dark Lords. The only one we're spoiling now is Vader, but here's a little hint that might help you guess some of the others. They're all corrupted by Palpatine.
Yeah.
And their origin in some way intersects with Palpatine. And speaking of changing Palpatine-related things to the setting, we are really not going to be digging a lot into the idea of, like, the Jedi and the Sith and the Force and a whole new magic system and making it emulate.
That's if you want that, just play Star Wars.
Right,
This is putting Star Wars in D&D. And again, this is kind of the why are you doing this part?
Offer to pay us money. I'll do it for money. I'll write a new, like, magic system for money, but it basically is a new magic system. A totally new magic system. Totally new, redo the classes, and it's a new game.
Yeah.
And I'll do it for money. But for free, this is what you get.
Yeah.
We are imagining the Jedi is just the name of an order of holy warriors who are paladins and clerics. And they all are sort of paladins and clerics of the Force. They don't think of themselves as being different classes. It's not like you're a cleric Jedi or a paladin Jedi. It's just that's the form their special training and emphasis and skills take.
I can see monks, too.
Monks, too, yeah. Put in monks, too. Like, some are better at fighting and smiting. Some are better at healing or forging or sneaking or any of those other things. You mechanically would choose, like, I'm going to be a cleric and I'm going to be, like, a, life domain cleric or a forge domain cleric or a tempest domain cleric. And it's like, that's mechanically what's happening. In the fiction, it's just, no, I am a Jedi, this is the training I have, and I'm specializing in using the Force to create things, using the Force to heal, using the Force to, like, tap into the powers of nature.
Using the Force to kick butt.
Using the Force to kick butt, yes, all those things. And so that's what we're imagining as the Jedi. And same with the Sith and with the Inquisitors, we are imagining they are warlocks of Palpatine. That's what it kind of means to be a Sith, is to have an infernal warlock pact with Palpatine. If you wanted, especially for stat reasons might be helpful, you could have, like, infernal clerics or fallen paladins and have them under that banner of the Sith. But just for simplicity's sake, in our universe, to be a Sith is to be an infernal warlock of Palpatine.
Yeah.
And I think As soon as I said that, Hope were like, oh, wow, that makes a lot of sense. And like kind of fits a lot of the themes, if not the like backstory of Star Wars in this version. Finally, speaking of if Palpatine is in some places he can't be in others, different Dark Lords, one of the neat things about Star Wars is we have all these great villains, but one of the problems of that is the villains live in different times. In the timeline, we have a whole timeline. This was a trouble. We're like, we have a bunch of villains we want to do that live in different timelines. How do we make that happen?
And like, it's a thing that they live in different timelines. Like, if we're going to do something with the Clone Wars, well, Vader came out of the Clone Wars. Like, if we're going to do something with Kylo Ren, well, Kylo Ren's related to Vader. Like, it's easy to do like Vader and Thrawn and Krennic.
Right.
But then how do you have them all interact with each other?
They're different domains.
Yes.
This was the hardest part of the whole thing.
Yes, absolutely.
So here's our best shot.
This is a thing that we're going to be expanding on.
Yes.
Over the episodes. The thing that made it all click together for me and made me go, oh my gosh, I love this idea, is something we're probably not going to get to till August. So bear with us. If you're not on board yet, bear with us.
Please listen to the whole series and see how we bring it home. Mm-hmm. So we have this archipelago, thousands of islands, and it's divided into different regions. So it's not that, like, Vader is the Dark Lord of one island. He is the Dark Lord of a whole huge cluster of islands. So these different regions of the archipelago have the mist around them. And in the past, it was much easier. Before the kind of mist came, it was just this one archipelago. Mm-hmm. But now it's these regions, there's mist. It's very difficult to get through the mist. Like, there's mistways, but they're very unstable, or they're highly guarded or highly restricted, or a lot of these regions of the archipelago are basically totally cut off from each other. So we can have different political situations in different sections, regions of the archipelago. Mm-hmm. What I mean by that is over here in this one section of the archipelago, the Clone Wars are happening.
Yeah.
Like, pre-existing government is still called the Republic, and they are fighting a full-scale war against an equally matched opponent in this region. In another region, the war ended, the Republic has declared itself empire, and has fascistic, tyrannical control over this region. Mm-hmm. And because it's so little communication and transit between regions, they, like, don't talk to each other.
Yeah. And because Ravenloft has wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff, in the Clone Wars region, they can be convinced Anakin was just there fighting the Clone Wars last week.
Yes.
Well, meanwhile, Darth Vader's been a Dark Lord for, however long.
Exactly. So that is, I know, that's a lot. I think once we get into the specific regions / domains, it will be clearer. Mm-hmm. It's never going to 100% work. You probably have your finger in the air. You've got a lot of ejections, I know.
Yeah,
but that's the best we could do in this situation, given the brief.
Mm-hmm.
Given the brief that I gave myself to do Star Wars, it's the best I can do.
To do all of Star Wars.
To do all of Star Wars in a Ravenloft domain or cluster of Ravenloft domains. And speaking of that mashup of different genres, one of the things I'm excited about with these different domains is for each of them, I'm going to try and emphasize a different, like, genre in Star Wars.
Yeah.
So we're going to have one, you can probably guess, it's going to be more the war movie domain, and one that's more the Western domain. So excited about that because it gets a chance to dig into that, and also it's another way we're trying to differentiate them.
Yes.
So it's not just the same thing, but with different guys in the big chair.
Possibly different genres of horror, too. We'll see.
Possibly.
Unclear. We haven't outlined
done these yet. One more thing we're not going to have in these individual domain episodes is something we normally have in our episodes is the strengths and challenges of running a game in the domain, because honestly, strengths and challenges are the same. Mm-hmm. Like, we'd be seeing the same thing 4 times.
Yeah. We might do strengths and challenges about, like, each individual section, maybe? We'll see. But a lot of the strengths and challenges are going to be strengths and challenges of Star Wars.
Yes. That, like, so right here, to kind of wrap up this little May the 4th Star Wars Day intro episode to this upcoming series that I'm so excited about, let's talk about the overall strengths and challenges of running a Star Wars Ravenloft game. Strengths. It's the very best. I always say it's great, but I'm going beyond great. It's my very favorite thing. It is an incredibly widely known setting and pop culture IP. And the thing is, it's one of those things where your PCs will almost certainly need no setting introduction or background material or role-playing tips. Like, I know there's always that, like, okay, what is this world? Here is my character. How does my character feel about the world? How does my character know to interact with the world? Okay, my character meets your character. What sort of assumptions? What sort of prejudices? What sort of... The webcomic Penny Arcade had a line about, like, the physics. The, like, emotional and psychological and social physics of a setting.
I have a great example of this here. So our friend group in college, one of our friends, she was a big part of the group, but she wasn't a gamer. And she was like, very curious about what we were doing, because she was a writer. She was a creative person. She loved the idea of having a character and playing games, but, like, the idea of playing D&D was a little weird for her, and just like you gotta learn all this backstory and the this and the that, and I just don't know if I can do it. And we had a friend who was running a Star Wars game, and she knew exactly how to be an emo teenage Wookiee.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Like, everyone knows what it means to be an emo teenage Wookiee. Or a chain-smoking Rhodian bounty hunter.
Yes. Or if I'm like, you're kind of a cowardly Trandoshan mechanic. Then, like, if you're any kind of nerd, you're probably like, okay, teenage emo Wookiee. I know what I am. I know my relationship with the world. I know the way I act. I know what I think about other people. I know where I come from. I know what my hometown is like. I know what I think about the wider galaxy. Like, you can just jump in and start role-playing.
You're an Ewok who wants to be a Jedi. Bam!
Bam! Yeah, exactly. Because you have that thing, you go into a Ravenloft domain, and, Ravenloft, I think one of the great strengths of the setting is this, like, if you're drawing from one of these classic horror sources, once again, if you go to Barovia, I think this might even be part of why Curse of Strahd usually works so well for people, it's like, all right, it's Gothic Dracula Transylvania. And, like, oh, of course, there's this, and there's this, and there's superstitious peasants cowering at night, and there's, like, this, and there's fortune tellers, and there's, like, you know what this setting is and how your character is going to feel about it. And similarly, you go to Star Wars, you know who this is and how your character's going to feel about it. Star Wars is also, it's the modern synthesis of a lot of the adventure fiction material that influenced D&D. I think if you look at what influenced D&D, what influenced Star Wars, there is a lot of overlaps. And that means a lot of the, like, tone and theme and the way the world works in Star Wars is a genre that can fit into D&D. That, like, Star Wars characters and D&D PCs approach the world the same way and, like, solve problems the same way.
It's like we were just talking about with Wonderland, where, like, part of the challenge with Alice in Wonderland is that in Wonderland you don't solve problems with PC skill set. But in Star Wars you do.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you can take... I think it's why it's so iterated as a tabletop RPG. Because I think, way back in 1977, 1978, you'd have people who would watch Star Wars and be playing Dungeons and Dragons and saying, oh, let's do that. Let's do that setting in this set of rules, and it would work. Star Wars is a hugely rich setting, and the great thing is it's had so many iterations. It's easy to find a, like, model of a Star Wars piece of media where your PCs can be the main heroes. So it's not just like we have the movies about Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia or Anakin Skywalker or whatever. It's like, oh, I can do Rebels. Yeah. Like, I can look at Rebels, I can look at how that campaign goes, and I can model my campaign off of it. Or I could do Andor. Yeah. Or I could do some of the arcs in the Clone Wars. Or I could do this thing in the comics with these, like, Jedi spies trying to infiltrate the Separatists. Or, like, there's whatever you want to do. There's a model for it, and you can center your PCs, which is a huge advantage it has over a lot of a lot of our basic Disney movies. We struggle with that. How we make your PCs the main characters. And then finally, and I can keep going. Finally, you can look at your Star Wars media sources, but because it's such a pop culture mashup, you can look at the general media sources. So you can just be like, all right, I want to run like a Boba Fett, Han Solo, Tatooine game. I can just look at Westerns. And I can be like, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing a space Western. Or, like, I want to run a, espionage war movie. I can find some World War II movies about, Allied spies sneaking in to sabotage and destroy Axis stuff, and that they'll use that as my model. And it's got that variety of genre. You have a ton of sources. You never need to make an NPC if you don't want to. You can just watch a whole bunch of movies of your genre, and just have a whole bunch of voices and mannerisms and characters in your head. And finally, speaking of something like Andor, something like Rebels, great variety of tone. Mm-hmm. You could do very goofy, kid-friendly, lighthearted, people Wilhelm screaming when they fall into pits. Or you can do incredibly, gritty, dark, violent. Yeah. And Star Wars contains all those multitudes.
Yes.
But it also contains many challenges.
It does. And the biggest one is that Star Wars is a very specific thing, and that specific thing is not D&D. It will probably be fun at first to see the D&D versions of Star Wars stuff. It's steampunk ships and stuff. Here's a little steampunk X-Wing. Here's the, Archfiend Palpatine, and, kind of DC Elseworlds.
Yeah.
When we were outlining this, I had Tom tell me DC Elseworlds, because I was like, honey, what's something that we can cite that isn't 1602? Because I'm tired of Neil Gaiman coming up on our podcast.
Yeah, right.
There you go. Be like that. But it's going to be weird that they don't have the Force. And, the novelty might wear off fast. Mm-hmm. It might be difficult for your players to keep track of what language they're supposed to be speaking.
Yeah.
And even, when we were... this is live, baby. When you were talking about different clerics having different domains and everything, and you mentioned Tempest... Lightning means a very different thing.
Yeah.
If you have a Tempest cleric who goes into the Star Wars domain and they start shooting lightning off, that's okay. What kind of lightning is this now? This is suddenly a question of are they acting as a Tempest cleric, or are people going to look at them and see Force lightning?
That's very true. That's very true.
It's not really horror.
No. We did blurbs that we went through and did rough initial outlines for our 4 domains. And this is this and this and this and this. And Rachel's like, but is there horror?
Tom's getting more and more excited, and I'm just sitting there looking at him, and then when he's done, I'm like, but what's the horror? And he goes, unclear. So we had to work hard to get the horror in there.
Yes. We did our best.
Yeah.
It's a big theme of this whole series, is we did our best.
Having the multiple timelines coexisting, there's going to be some interesting stuff here. I'm really excited for some of the stuff we're going to get into. But it's also, say it with me, high concept and weird.
Oh, look, the Kolars are here.
The Kolars are here. And then this was more a thing for you than for me. A similar thing we're talking about with K-pop Demon Hunter. Star Wars has very fast-paced action scenes, and D&D doesn't.
No, same thing. With K-pop Demon Hunters, I was like, okay, imagine the opening plane scene, or the bathhouse, or the subway scene in D&D rules, and it was initiative. That's now Rumi goes, make your attack roll, okay, roll your damage, okay, now these demons go, now these demons go, now these demons go, now Mira goes, okay, you missed, okay, now these demons go, it would be hours. Any of those action scenes would be hours of play using standard D&D rules. And the same thing is true, imagine any Star Wars action scene, and it's just you fire your blaster. Now a bunch of stuff's going to happen. You're just going to sit here for about 20 minutes till the next chance to fire your blaster. And so, similarly, D&D rules really not a good fit for Star Wars. And so one of our things is going to be, I don't want to repeat all this from last episode, but in K-pop Demon Hunters, in both the episode and the write-up, we included some tips for speeding up combat, making it a little more cinematic. So if you didn't see that one, look at that. That's the same advice I would give for running Star Wars, for trying to make combat faster. To quote George Lucas, faster and more intense.
I miss Vitality and Wounds. That was my favorite thing about D20 Star Wars. I miss Vitality and Wounds. So I think that is pretty much it for...
Wraps up our intro.
I do want to say, the end of K-pop Demon Hunters, and we were given the clue as to where we were going next. It was just kind of a general clue that it was going to be Star Wars, not a clue as to who our Dark Lord was going to be or anything. So I'm just going to say this is a big thing that we're getting into here. We're very confident in our ability to do this, but, on the one hand, we have a pretty good track record, but on the other hand, twice the pride.
Double the fall. That's a thing that makes sense to say. So you can double the fall.
Oh, George Lucas, never change.
Never change. Until next time, which is very soon.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you for coming along with this adventure with us in a galaxy far, far away. Thank you for listening. Happy gaming.
And may the Force be with you. This has been The Wonderful World of Dark Lords. We have no affiliation with Disney or Wizards of the Coast. All music recordings used in this episode are in the public domain and were obtained through museopen.org. Titles and links are in the show notes. The Wonderful World of Dark Lords logo was designed by Haylight Jones. You can find links to their work in the show notes. If you'd like to support the show, look for us on patreon.com or find our tip jar on Red Circle. Thanks for listening.